just joining us, live stream. This is live pictures from the Penguin Air and Plumbing News chopper of a chase. This maroon SUV, this Jeep, maroon colored Jeep, is being pursued by the DPS as well as a sheriff's officer. This vehicle, this chase started somewhere on 85. Units are backing off, but they have been pursuing this vehicle, multiple attempts at stop sticks, and we've got the scanner traffic up so that you can listen in on DPS. We are monitoring. We see, according to scanner traffic, a white male, single, appears to be the single occupant of this vehicle, at times approaching 100 miles an hour, average of about 75 miles an hour. Multiple units have been following this individual. You can see lots of DPS. Lots of DPS following, as well as sheriff. I got you. Go ahead. Copy that. Give me IFB, please. I've got IFB. Go ahead. Turn that scanner off. So for those that are just joining us, a pursuit on I-10. This is eastbound I-10, just getting into town here. Eastbound I-10 right now. We are about Estrella Parkway. And again, it's this Jeep, maroon Jeep. It's got black racing stripes on it. Looks like a white male driving, according to scanner traffic. DPS has been following this, pursuing this Jeep along State Route 85 and now eastbound along I-10. We're just getting into town now, into Phoenix, that is, the western portions of Phoenix, passing Estrella Parkway, Litchfield Road now, coming up on Dysart. Eastbound I-10 coming up on Dysart. This, if you are in the West Valley along I-10, just watch out for this. Now, important to note that DPS has backed off since traffic is getting a little bit heavier as they get into the Phoenix area. DPS has backed off for safety. They attempted a number of stop sticks, deploying a number of stop sticks, but from what it looks like, it doesn't appear that they. And I'm gonna be quiet now. We're doing a talkback. Copy, standing by. And mix minus, guys. Yeah, so this all started on the State Route 85, and it looks like this, again, it's this maroon-colored Jeep. DPS, it should be noted, has backed off since they've entered the Phoenix area here, but they are still following this individual just at a distance. The sheriff's helicopter is also overhead, And we're told, just based on scanner traffic, it sounds like the individual inside is a white male, appears to be a single occupant in this vehicle. At times approaching 100 miles an hour. Right now he's driving about 75 miles an hour, and right now he's eastbound on I-10 in the West Valley, around, let's see, Avondale Boulevard. So that's what it looks like right now from the Penguin Air and Plumbing News Chopper. Yeah, so Jerry Ferguson and the Penguin Air and Plumbing News Shopper, we've been following this this SUV, this Jeep SUV, maroon colored SUV. He's gone from, he started out on SR85. Copy, copy. So this all started out on State Route 85, and DPS and the Sheriff's Office is out here following this vehicle. They've backed off. Important to note, they've backed off. Let me zoom out here and show you. They're quite a ways back. You can see a number of white vehicles, those DPS trooper vehicles, as well as some Sheriff's Department vehicles, and the Sheriff's helicopter is also following. As soon as they got into town in Phoenix here, they backed off a little bit to ease up the pressure on this guy, but they're certainly still following him, and we are still following him. So that's what it looks like right now from the Penguin Air and Plumbing News Chopper. We're not sure exactly what the initial call was, but speaking of scanner traffic, we've heard that it appears that there's a single occupant, a white male. We can see that this vehicle has California license plates. So that's some of the information that we've been able to glean. Also, that this vehicle at times has been approaching 100 miles an hour. Right now, it looks like maybe 65 or so, an average speed of maybe 75 miles an hour. So not excessively speeding per se. Negative, just that mix minus issue. Okay, copy that. Yeah, just continue to give me cues. Yeah, copy that. Let me switch IB over. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Let me show you what that looks like. It looks like at least a dozen DPS troopers. They're in marked and unmarked vehicles behind him. So the sheriff's helicopter is also up there, as well as some, at least one sheriff's vehicle SUV behind them, so they're still following. Um, Everything has kind of slowed down as they've gotten into town here. And they're coming up on 75th Avenue, still continuing, though, eastbound along I-10 toward the downtown area. Oh, he knows. Yeah, it looks like he's talking on the phone. It's just whatever we can do, man. Yeah, 59th exactly. Just approaching 59th Avenue now, headed towards 51st Avenue. Absolutely. Standing by. Continuing toward 51st Avenue, eastbound I-10. Well, Heidi, you called it. Just past 59th Avenue moments ago, headed toward 51st Avenue. Seems to have slowed down a little bit, but that's not shaking these DPS troopers. He knows that he's being followed, and eventually he's going to have to stop. Again, still eastbound in that middle lane. Approaching 43rd Avenue. That was perfect. Perfect. So for those that are following on Facebook, I-10 eastbound approaching the stack. Let me zoom out here and show you what we're looking at. Looks like he's going to stay on I-10 eastbound. Looks like he's staying on I-10 eastbound to us. Here's the stack. So once again, if you're just joining us, live pictures of a pursuit happening in Phoenix. This individual is eastbound on I-10, approaching downtown Phoenix, just past the stack, eastbound I-10. This maroon Jeep with the racing stripes being pursued by Arizona DPS officers and the Sheriff's Office. On 3, copy. Yeah, I've got you. Go ahead. Yeah. That's right. Let me zoom out here and while still maintaining a shot of where he's at. Downtown area at the top of the screen here. So that's approaching the downtown area. I'll zoom right back down to where this individual is at. DPS still following at a distance. We do still see them back there. If I zoom out, we kind of lose where he's at. You can still see the maroon vehicle there. Still several car lengths behind this vehicle, but yeah, he's still going. And just continuing eastbound I-10. We'll see. So far, he's stayed in the middle lanes, and it looks like he's just bound to continue on I-10 for now. Oh, he just went into the tunnel here. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Aaron, our pilot, is making multiple calls. It gets pretty frenetic up here in the chopper, and that's why it's good to have a separation of duties. I can do the reporting and run the camera. Aaron, all he has to do is focus on flying the helicopter. There are some other aircraft up in the air as well, another media helicopter, as well as the sheriff's helicopter down low. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. That's right. Yep, we got it, yeah. It looks like he's still staying straight for now. I'm up on 5. Copy, I got you on 5. So it looks like the driver passed the stack, went through the tunnel, is now approaching the mini stack. That's what you see at the top portion of the screen, and continues to drive at a relatively even pace with the other cars. Passing a couple cars now, but we're just approaching the mini stack, so we'll see what he ends up doing. It looks like, for now, it looks like he's sticking. Oh, wait, actually, it looks like he's exiting for either the 51 or the 202, so we'll see which direction he decides to go here. Looks like the 202. He's going to continue. Looks like eastbound on the Loop 202. Yeah, several car lengths. I can zoom out. Actually, if I zoom out, I can't even get them in the shot. They're that far back. But they do have the MCSO helicopter is following this guy, and certainly those cars are still back there, both marked and unmarked cars. So he's not getting away. They're still back there, and the helicopter's still up in the air. Can't hide from the helicopter. Yeah, copy that. IFB is switched over, ready to go. That's right, yeah, and that's going to cause us a little bit of an issue as we come up to the Sky Harbor Airport. That's a dicey situation to get around the airliners that are landing if he continues on this 202 over toward the 60. Not sure exactly where he's going to go, but coming up on another transition here. We'll see where he goes. Let me zoom out here and show you. That's the, what is that, the 143 coming up on that. Looks like he's going to stay straight. Yeah, not only us, but also the MCSO helicopter. It doesn't really matter for the MCSO helicopter. They've got priority, and if they need to follow him, I'm sure air traffic control will certainly let them do that, and it's very difficult to escape the gaze of the police helicopters. We saw at least one sheriff's department cruiser back there, so that it looks like the sheriff's department is also participating in this pursuit. Well, obviously, if it depends on which direction the airplanes are taking off and landing, but let me zoom out here and show you where we're at in relation to the airport. We're turning that curve, headed down toward the airport, and right now my pilot Aaron is negotiating with or making calls out to air traffic control and coordinating our positioning so that we're not getting in the way of airliners, we're not impeding any of that traffic, and that we're also not messing up the MCSO helicopter. So we're staying well above them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they come right in. In fact, the jetliner, as I zoom out here, he's getting right up to about where that airport is right now. The airliners would be just coming right down over the top of them, but we've still got a pretty long lens on the chopper here, and we should be able to still track him all the way around the curve. So I'm going to pull back, and just for folks that are following on the stream, yeah, it looks like the DPS cruisers have tightened up just a little bit now. Looks like they're following at a little bit closer distance, closing that distance just a little bit, but still hanging back. It looks like he's holding it. Looks like he's holding up that cell phone. Copy, ready to go. Yeah, I was just zooming out to show you. We're just to the north of Tempe Town Lake, those tall buildings along Tempe Town Lake. That's right where we're at. And it looks like he's getting off, actually. What is that? Scottsdale? Rural. He's getting off at Rural now. So we'll see what happens here as he exits the 202 at Rural. We're going to see the DPS cruisers had tightened up just a little bit. They're still following at a distance, but it looks like they're still back there. And it looks like he'll turn southbound on Rural, or Scottsdale Road. Sorry, Scottsdale Road there. And that's right. There's some construction here, so we'll see what happens there. Construction as well as a lot more traffic here. This thing's going to slow way down. Right. Yeah, and those DPS officers following close behind. Interesting to note the truck immediately behind him. I recognize that truck. That looks like the truck that they usually use for the SWAT robots and explosive ordnance disposal. I think they just joined the chase. They happened to be out at the shooting range out there and joined in the pursuit. I believe that's a law enforcement truck. Oh, there we go. Looks like he's gonna lock him in or try to. Ooh. And now there's some contact, and he's taking off. So he's run the red light there now, and he's continuing in toward ASU now. Ooh, and he's gonna blow right through that red light. Ooh. Oh my gosh, and he's really, really speeding up now. Oh man, a lot of pedestrians on the roadway. Yeah, and he is really, he's flying now. He's going really fast. Oh, this is not good. Oh boy, oh boy, oh no, oh no, oh no. Head-on collision with that car, an innocent person involved in a head-on crash, and this is exactly what DPS wanted to avoid. And he's running. He's running. He's talking to some bystanders there. He's talking to some bystanders there. I don't know what he's saying there. I'm not absolutely certain, but it looks like that guy crawled out of the vehicle there. I'm fairly certain that's him. Yeah, that's the guy. I think that's the guy. I think that's the guy. He's trying to fool those guys. Yeah, they're not fooled. And down he goes. Yeah, he's trying to use some diversionary tactics there. and DPS not having it. Yeah, and we'll keep a shot up with the car there just to make sure that there's not somebody else in the vehicle. Troopers' initial radio traffic indicated that he was alone in the vehicle from what we could see, and it looks like they've backed off of that vehicle. It looks like indeed he's probably the only occupant there. T-bone situation is the yeah, copy that. So the driver increased his speed, was driving really belligerently, crossing over into traffic, across traffic lanes, blowing through red lights, and you can see right here, I don't have the cross streets, but it's along Scottsdale Road there, Rural Road, just T-boned, kind of front-end T-boned this other vehicle, just an innocent person going about their morning, and slammed full speed into this other vehicle. We still don't know whether that other person is injured or not. It looks like DPS is trying to attend to that person. I'm sure they've got medical personnel already on the way. The vehicle rolled a number of times and came to rest just outside of this business here. The driver, miraculously, the suspect, miraculously was able to crawl out of that vehicle and then went over and started talking to some bystanders, trying to, I don't know, fool them into thinking that it wasn't what they were seeing or something. As DPS approached, he pointed at the vehicle as if to say, hey, go get him. There's a guy in there. And DPS was not fooled. They tackled him, and he's in custody now there on the ground. Hey, go ahead. Plenty. Plenty of fuel. Affirmative. We gotta hope and pray that there wasn't a passenger in that vehicle. Just totally smashed in. I sure hope it's just the driver in there. Yeah. And it looks like fire has finally arrived. Yeah, so thank goodness. This is at Spence Avenue. Rural and Spence. And rural is going to be closed. Oh, I really hope that driver's okay. Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, I certainly hope that the driver for this vehicle, we all hope that the driver in this vehicle is going to be okay, at least as okay as that suspect there, who had absolutely no regard for other drivers on the roadway, as we can see here. Yeah, and it's important to note Rural Road is going to be closed for a while because of this. Rural Road in near Spence, that collision happened at the intersection of Rural and Spence. And that vehicle, yeah, it continued to roll for about a block. Okay, looks like that patient is moving on their own, which is good news. Thank goodness. Looks like that patient is moving around, but has a head wound. But that's one small good sign. It looks like they were sitting up on their own. Yeah. Got that highlight really bright. That's kind of what it looks like, yeah. Just a catastrophic accident, front of a head-on accident. So for those just joining us, again, looking at an innocent victim of this police chase. From what we could see, it wasn't like DPS was trying to put pressure on this guy. Once they got off the freeway on rural, at one point they pulled a truck up in front of him, and he took off like a shot and just had absolutely no regard for the safety of anybody around him. Speeding through red lights, pedestrians, cars, it didn't matter. There was multiple close calls, and we'll look back at the video, but it looks like maybe a female patient down here, and hopefully just one occupant in that vehicle. But as they took her out, it looked like she was moving her arms and legs around a little bit, so hopefully she's going to be okay, but definitely appears to have a head wound. So that driver's going to be taken off to the hospital. And that's the real shame in this. Looks like the suspect gets away. Really, it didn't look like he had any injuries. And look at this. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, as they took this driver out, it looked like she was moving her arms and legs around. Hopefully that's a good sign, and we certainly hope the best for this driver. It's a little infuriating that driver, the suspect driver, just hops out of the vehicle and is running around when this is the result of his reckless actions. Work it. It looks like they may be taking him off to the hospital for some type of injury. Drone. Just a... Oh no, I was just pointing out Hector's got the drone going down there. So for those that are just joining us, aftermath of a police chase, a violent crash at the end, just an awful crash as the suspect slammed head-on into another vehicle. The occupant of that other vehicle looks like they had head injuries. They were taken off to the hospital. Now the suspect's being loaded onto a gurney. Suspect appears to have minor injuries, if any, but being loaded onto the back of onto a gurney. I got you. Ugh, devastating damage. So for those that are just joining us on the stream, here's a quick replay of the final moments of this pursuit. I'll fast forward and show you for those that missed it. Viewer discretion advised on this. It's a very violent crash. Okay, let me back this up and show you play-by-play. We'll just kind of watch this play-by-play. You can see this truck, which is that's the truck we usually see with the bomb squad, the robot there. Pulls up beside, and an SUV tries to pit the car, and that's when this guy really takes off. This is down along rural headed south into Tempe toward ASU. Again, this is a replay. This is not live. I'm just replaying for those folks who missed the end of this chase. This is a replay as that vehicle took off at high speed down Rural, southbound along Rural. This is playing at real speed. It's not sped up. That's how fast this guy is going. You can see pedestrians on the streets, cars in the intersections there. You'll see him blow through a couple of red lights. There's that wasn't a red light, but he's blowing through. Here's a light where there's a lot of traffic there, just blowing right through it, and then, just absolutely slams into the front, rolls that vehicle about a block. That suspect's SUV rolls over and over, and you'll see the suspect crawl out of that vehicle in just a moment. The suspect crawls from the vehicle. You can see bystanders running up to help out. What's going on? They don't know. They may not know what's going on. He crawls out. That's the suspect right there, running around. He's waving his arms around. No idea what he's saying to those people. Certainly, if anybody on the Facebook stream happened to be down there and caught what the suspect was saying, please check in with us. We'd love to know what he was trying to tell bystanders there. If he was trying to talk people into the idea that, I'm not a suspect in a pursuit, or whatever, but it looked like he's just trying to kind of play it cool there, or play it off possibly. I don't know. He's just walking around like normal. You'll see DPS pull up. They start approaching the vehicle here. You can see they're approaching the vehicle, and he backs off, pointing at the vehicle. Hey, no, go to the vehicle. But that DPS, you can see that DPS officer with the pistol there. He's not being fooled. And that's when the troopers close in. And so you saw some of the troopers go toward that vehicle to secure the vehicle, but I don't think there was any real, he wasn't fooling anybody. They had already seen the suspect. They already had a description of that suspect, and so they knew that was their guy. They took him down, got him into custody. But just a violent, devastating crash along Rural Road in Tempe at the conclusion of this pursuit that started way out on State Route 85. Went north on State Route 85. The suspect drove eastbound along I-10 through most of Phoenix, ending up getting off the freeway on Rural in Tempe, headed toward ASU along Rural, and ended up crashing into that car. And you can see just a devastating impact to that other SUV. We certainly hope it looked like a single occupant in that SUV. We sure hope she's going to be okay. She was taken off to the hospital with looked like some head wounds. Amazing that, well, we don't know the extent of her injuries actually. Hopefully she's okay. It looked like she was moving around a little bit, so that's hopefully a good sign. But yeah, a little bit, well, not a little, it's more than a little frustrating that this guy was running around, flailing his arms around, seemingly okay and in good shape, while the person that he just slammed into was injured. So that's a replay of this pursuit as it happened about 30 minutes ago. And we'll have all the latest information on this pursuit that ended up in Tempe. Coming back to, I'll come back to a live shot just to give you an idea of where this ended up. There's a live shot over Tempe. This was on Rural, just south of Apache. Rural is closed between Apache and it looks like Broadway or close to Broadway. Just avoid Rural in the Tempe area around ASU. It's going to be closed for quite a while as they do their investigation down here. Right down below us is where all of this came to a conclusion. For the latest on this and other news, check out the AZ Family mobile app. We'll have all the latest information about who this guy was, who the victim, or the status of the victim, if we can get that. Hopefully that victim's going to be okay. What the deal was, why did this happen? All of that on azfamily.com and the AZ Family mobile app. Chopper to news desk. Copy that. How and that's at noon. I will roll the video that that I want. Yes, I will roll the video. And I'm going to have it queued up, so give me a cue to roll, please. Copy that. Copy that. Yeah, it is anchoring. So for those just joining, this is a replay of video at the conclusion of a pursuit that saw a suspect driving along the State Route 85, the I-10 eastbound, headed through the downtown area, midtown area, into Tempe, got off on Rural, off of the 202 and Rural, and crashed that maroon SUV. That's the suspect right in the middle of the screen, nonchalantly just kind of walking around. DPS pulls up to secure the vehicle. He's not fooling anyone, and they take him down right here and into custody. And this is what we watched just about, 45 minutes ago as this pursuit came to a conclusion in Tempe. We'll be live at the top of noon on CBS 5 with more information about this pursuit and the conclusion of this pursuit. One other innocent individual was injured. At least one other innocent individual was injured as this suspect slammed his SUV into another black SUV here, and you'll see that in a moment as we cut over to that. This is video again from about 30 minutes ago. I'm just hot rolling it from the helicopter. We're still up over the scene in the Penguin Air and Plumbing News chopper. This all happened, it came to a conclusion on Rural. Rural is closed. Rural Road is closed in Tempe near ASU, just avoided altogether. Basically between Broadway, about Broadway and Apache Boulevard. And there's that vehicle, just a crazy amount of damage to that vehicle. It looked like a head-on collision. It was kind of a head-on glancing collision, a lot of damage. I think if that vehicle had hit a little bit more head-on, we might be talking about a fatality. As it is, we're unsure of the injuries that that other innocent person had. It looked like she was moving her arms around as she got out, as she was finally pulled out of that vehicle by first responders. So hopefully that's a good sign, and hopefully she's going to be okay. It looked like she had some head injuries, though. A miracle that it doesn't appear that anybody was killed out here. Definitely amazing that that suspect was able to just walk out of that vehicle and start running around. Well, and more than a little infuriating that he's just walking around while this innocent person that he's left in his wake has head trauma and possibly other injuries there. Here you can see DPS officers tending to that person. This is the exact thing that they wanted to avoid. They had backed off during this pursuit through Phoenix. They had backed off, and once he got off the freeway, they tried to box him in. Once they got into traffic, they tried to box him in, and that's when he took off and decided to drive at high speed south along the Rural Road and caused this collision and injury. So he's going to have a lot more explaining to do. He's going to have a lot more charges added to whatever he was running from. We don't know if what the situation was that caused him to run. We're hearing that DPS was already acquainted with this individual, and that he said that he didn't need to stop, but we're not sure why he didn't stop. Those are answers. So we've got reporters on the ground. We're trying to get those answers. And we'll have more information at the top of noon on CBS 5. Okay, so folks, sorry for, I've been kind of busy up here. I finally have the Facebook feed going up here. I'm going to come back to a live shot over the area where this pursuit came to a conclusion. I know that folks have been asking questions. So this is on Rural. Just want to give you a live shot of what it looks like and what your traffic situation is going to be. So it looks like the collision happened at about Spence and Rural. Rural Road is closed between Apache Boulevard and Vista del Cerro. Best to avoid rural in the area of Tempe right now. We'll have more information about why this guy was running from DPS at the top of the noon show here. And for those that missed this accident, I'm going to back it up here. I'm just backing it up. Give me just a second, and we'll replay it for those folks who missed this accident. So if you've got, if you want to share this video, I'm going to be replaying it in just a moment here. And here we go. I'll switch over to that now. This is a replay of the accident, or the conclusion of this pursuit. Rural and Spencer Tracy, yeah, that's right. This is a replay of this pursuit, this maroon SUV. Looked like a Jeep down there. This is after that suspect got off of the freeway and headed across the Rural Road Bridge into Tempe. You can see that's the Tempe Town Lake. Suspect's crossing over that bridge. Shortly after the suspect gets over the bridge, they come to a red light, and you'll see a truck, that truck with a kind of a camper-looking shell on the back of it. That's actually a police vehicle. You'll see that truck pull up next to the suspect's vehicle and try and box him in. Here you go. Truck pulls up next to the vehicle, tries to box him in. Another police SUV comes up beside him, tries to pit him, and that's when this guy takes off, and this becomes really dangerous. You can see he took off at a high rate of speed, passing pedestrians and other vehicles along the roadway, heading southbound along Rural Road. Yes, this is Rural Road. He was heading southbound along Rural Road after just having gotten off the Loop 202. Plows right through that red light. Very high rate of speed, trying to get away from DPS. And you can see swerving around to get around cars, going into the opposite lanes of travel, through busy intersections, cars and pedestrians everywhere, and there's the impact. Just a very high-speed crash at Rural and Spence. His vehicle rolled multiple times. Now watch as the smoke clears and the suspect crawls out of the passenger side of that SUV. You can see he gets out and starts talking to bystanders who, it looks like bystanders came over to try and help, probably confused at what they were seeing. And he gets out, walks over to these bystanders and is trying to explain something to them. I'd love to know what he was trying to say to them, if he was trying to explain this thing away or what he was trying to say. But you'll see DPS pulls up, they go to secure the vehicle, but and he points at the vehicle. Watch him point at the vehicle and kind of backs away and starts running, and DPS not fooled at all. They take him into custody and take him down. So they knew, DPS knew, they had a suspect description. They'd been following this guy since the State Route 85 for several miles, all the way through Phoenix. They knew who he was. And again, this is a replay from about 45 minutes ago as this pursuit concluded on Rural Road in Tempe, just south, just in the area of ASU, basically. Rural Road just south of Apache Boulevard is where this all came to a close. And again, this is a replay of video. You can see MCSO helicopter in the air. Big shout out to MCSO and DPS, of course. DPS was leading this pursuit, but assisted by Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. You can see lots and lots of folks involved in taking this guy into custody and making sure that the public was safe, doing everything that they could to try and make sure that the public is safe. They backed off multiple times. They tried to stop stick this guy before he got into Phoenix, but were unable to get a successful stop stick deployment. Then he drove through Phoenix. As he drove through Phoenix along I-10, they had backed off several car lengths way, way back to ease up the pressure just a little bit and try and prevent this kind of thing from happening. As soon as this guy got off the freeway and rural and headed down into Tempe, though, they knew that it was time to bring this thing to an end, and that's when they tried to box him in, and he started running and caused that really bad crash. You can see that black SUV, just an innocent person going about their daily routine. Looked like a female driver in that SUV taken off to the hospital with head injuries. It looked like she was moving around as they extracted her and pulled her out of that SUV, the first responders, once they got on scene. So hopefully she'll be okay, but she was injured, and it looks like she was injured more severely than that driver was. The driver was also taken off to the hospital after being checked out by paramedics. It looked like he was standing on his own. Whatever injuries he has seem to be minor, especially compared to that innocent driver that he plowed into. So we're not sure. Christy on Facebook asks, how did this start? Was it a traffic stop, stolen vehicle? We're not sure. What we have heard is, just this is based on scanner traffic, was that this suspect was known to DPS. They'd had contact with him in the past, and that he refused to stop. Obviously, he refused to stop, but he basically said, I don't have to stop for you guys, and just continued to run from them. And again, this started way out on the State Route 83. That's the connecting road between basically the I-8 and I-10 that you would take when you go out to San Diego. If you're cutting over from I-10 to go down to I-8 to go to San Diego. Anyway, he came up northbound along State Route 85, eastbound along I-10 through Midtown Phoenix, got on the Loop 202, and continued into Tempe, where he exited at Rural, went southbound on Rural, right into the ASU area, and that's where he slammed into this other SUV. You can see the MCSO helicopter overhead. Again, this is a replay of video for those that missed it the first time, a replay of video of the moments leading up to and right after that suspect crashed at the end of this pursuit. And Melinda's correct. She says the police had him on the phone while in pursuit. Actually, we don't know that if the police had him on the phone, but he was on the phone during this pursuit. He was talking to someone on the phone. And I want to come back to a live shot and show you the distance that his vehicle rolled. So up here at the top of the screen, that's the intersection where he plowed into that black SUV, Spence Avenue. This is Rural and Spence in Tempe. And his vehicle rolled several times. You can see scrapes all along the ground. It rolled and rolled and rolled and kept going and ended up coming to a rest at least a block away, and somehow he was able to crawl out of the passenger side of that vehicle pretty much, it looked like pretty much unscathed. Now, he was taken off to the hospital, but he was running around like, after he got out of that vehicle, like there was nothing wrong. And Rural, should be mentioned, Rural is going to be closed for quite a while as they do investigation on this. So let me just replay just a little bit of video for those that missed it. I'm going to come back and replay. Again, this is a replay of when the chase was still going on just north of Tempe Town Lake. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. There's a wide shot of where they were along Tempe Town Lake. In a moment, you'll see that red SUV. It gets off on the exit. That's the rural road exit. Okay. Police or DPS still following at a pretty significant distance, several car lengths back. So the suspect gets off of that exit, and at this point, still obeying traffic laws relatively, other than not stopping for DPS, which is a pretty big one. Drives through some of the traffic, and I'll fast forward here as that suspect drives across the bridge here over Tempe Town Lake. Again, this is southbound along Rural. This is a replay of video of the final moments of this pursuit for those that missed it the first time around. You'll see just as he gets over the bridge here, this is where everything starts happening. You'll see a truck pull up behind him. It has a kind of a camper shell looking apparatus on the back. That's actually a police truck, a law enforcement truck. It tries to box him in. Another police SUV tries to box him in on the other side and pit maneuver, but the suspect runs and takes off at a really high rate of speed, plowing through a few red lights. No regard to any pedestrians or other vehicles along his route, southbound along Rural. Again, this is just right near ASU. Plows right through a red light here, increasing his speed. Crossing over, plowing through traffic, heavy traffic, and then slamming basically head on into another vehicle. Thank goodness it was a slightly glancing blow, or that woman may have been killed. As it stands, it looks like she has some head injuries as a result of that crash, the woman in the black SUV that he hit. Now in a moment you'll see, again, this is a replay of video, the final moments of this pursuit. In a moment you'll see the suspect crawl out of that passenger side. There he is in the middle of the screen. He crawls out of that SUV, talking to some of the bystanders, throwing his arms up in the air. Looks like he's pretty undamaged, running around. And he walks up to talk to some of those folks that witnessed the accident. And in a moment you'll see DPS pull up. Right here is where DPS pulls up and immediately gets out, guns trained, goes to secure the vehicle, and then the suspect. Again, this is a replay of the conclusion of that pursuit. Happened about an hour ago. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. It looks like our stream is over. Is that right? I can stop talking? Okay, copy that. So for those that are on our stream, this is a replay of the video of the conclusion of that pursuit as DPS officers and I think that's the plan, yeah. So again, for those that are joining us on the stream, live pictures, let me switch back and show you. These are live pictures of ASU. This is where that pursuit came to a close. This is a live picture now of the scene. Stretches across a block or two, a couple city blocks. Rural Road is closed right now, both directions between Apache Boulevard and almost down to Broadway. Basically avoid Rural Road through Tempe and the ASU area. There's going to be heavy DPS presence as they investigate this crash that happened. And I just want to show folks where that vehicle, the suspect's vehicle, slammed into an innocent driver up at Spence Avenue. This is at Spence and Rural. And then the suspect's vehicle proceeded to roll several times all the way down. It was over a block, coming to rest. And somehow that suspect was able to crawl out of the passenger side of that vehicle. It looked like he had no injuries. Now he was taken off to the hospital, so it looks like maybe he sustained some type of injury, but it appeared to be minor. He was running around, waving his arms around. And looks like DPS down there in full investigative mode. Again, this is a live look at the area that is now closed. Rural Road closed south of Apache. So I'm going to replay that video again. For those that missed the video, I'm just going to replay the video of the final moments of this crash. At this point, the suspect had hopped off of the freeway. This all started out on State Route 85. Traveled eastbound along I-10 through Phoenix. The suspect got off of the Loop 202 onto Rural southbound and then started plowing through red lights. Let me back it up just a little bit to show you what kind of the final moments. The suspect comes across the Mill Avenue Bridge, or not the Mill Avenue Bridge, but the Rural Road Bridge across the Tempe Town Lake. And as the suspect, you'll see coming up in just a moment, the suspect pulls up to a stop at a red light, and that's when DPS decides to make their move to try and box in this vehicle. You'll see that white truck, that's actually a police truck, goes to box him in on one side, that silver SUV on the other side, and that's when the suspect takes off at a high rate of speed and just decides, yeah, I'm gonna disregard all human life, I'm gonna disregard property, doesn't matter, I'm just gonna take off at high rate of speed, blowing through red lights, right past pedestrians, vehicles, didn't matter. High rate of speed here. Again, you'll see the ending of this pursuit was looked like it was inevitable at this point with the speed that this guy was traveling at. Blows through opposite the other side of the road, wrong side of the road at certain points, flying by traffic, and there slams into the front of a black SUV. A single female driver in that SUV sustained head injuries. You can see the suspect's vehicle rolled over a block multiple times, coming to rest on its wheels. The suspect somehow was able to crawl out of the passenger side here. You can see him crawl right out of the passenger side there and start running. Talking to bystanders. Possibly. And you can see DPS pull up here and go to secure the vehicle as well as the suspect. Guns drawn. They're not messing around. They'd been following this guy for a while, so they knew who he was. He was looked like he was trying to point to the vehicle, like, "Oh yeah, it's I'm just another bystander," or whatever. I don't know what he was saying, but certainly, if anybody was down there and happened to witness the DPS officers, it looks like there was a lot of bystanders down there. If somebody happened to witness this, we'd love to hear from you what that suspect was trying to say, either to you or to DPS officers. We've got a reporter down there on the ground looking to get some answers as well as to why this guy was running. But from the reports on the radio, we heard that the suspect was known to DPS. They had had contact with him before, and that he was known to just tell them, "Hey, I'm not stopping." And obviously, he wasn't stopping. It didn't appear that he was going to stop anytime soon. And there's the aftermath of this guy's blatant disregard for other people. At this point, he just wanted to get away. He just, well, I'm not going to presume to get inside this guy's head, but obviously he decided to run from police and didn't care enough about other motorists to drive safely. Slammed right into the front of that other SUV, injuring a woman. She was taken off to the hospital, and we joined with the rest of our Facebook viewers and hoping for a speedy recovery for that woman. It looked like she was moving her arms around, but she had some type of a head injury, so we sure hope that she's going to be okay. Looked like the guy got off relatively unscathed. He was taken off to the hospital after being checked out by paramedics, but he was walking around, running around, as you saw, right after this crash ended. So where's this at? Brianne asks, this is on Rural Road in Tempe, right near ASU. Let me come back to a live shot and show you where this happened. This is a replay of video for those folks that missed it. Let me come back to a wide shot here. This is a live shot over Tempe, ASU area. The suspect got off of the Loop 202 and headed southbound on Rural. This is just south of Apache Boulevard is where this happened. And let me zoom in here and show you. The crash happened specifically at Rural Road and Spence Avenue in Tempe. That's where this suspect slammed into another vehicle. His vehicle tumbled and rolled at least another block down the street, coming to rest, several hundred feet away. And somehow that suspect was able to crawl out of that vehicle and pretend, looked like he was trying to pretend like either he was the victim or something. He hopped out, was talking to bystanders, pointing at the vehicle when DPS showed up. So again, this is a live look of the aftermath. Rural remains closed, both directions right now. Just avoid Rural Road. I think that ASU is going to be kind of, traffic through ASU is going to be kind of a nightmare this afternoon because of this. I would expect hours of closure as DPS investigates this crash. And I'm going to rewind and replay that video for folks that missed it here in just a moment. So if you've got folks that haven't seen the video yet, I'm rewinding it right now. I'm going to restart the video here. Back. All right, here we go. So here's a replay of the video when the suspect was still eastbound along Loop 202. I'm going to fast forward at certain points here. You can see we were flying alongside Tempe Town Lake at this point. At this point, the suspect decides to exit the Loop 202 eastbound onto southbound Rural Road through Tempe. I'll fast forward just a little bit here as the suspect gets off. At this point, again, still stopping at red lights. The chase at some points approached 100 miles an hour, but along the I-10, this guy was traveling at about the speed limit, more or less, from what we could see at some point, speeding up and slowing down, but not particularly, not particularly driving super erratically. At this point, though, he hops off the freeway. Now he's headed southbound along Rural Road. Again, this is a replay of video of the final moments of this pursuit. That's the red SUV there. We're not sure why he decided not to stop for police, but we do know that DPS had prior contact with this guy and that he just refused to stop. We're looking to get some answers from our ground reporters on why he refused to stop. You can see in this replay of video, DPS still following him across that rural road bridge across Tempe Town Lake southbound. And as they come up to this stoplight, you'll see a white pickup truck with a camper-type shell, utility truck shell on the back of it, pull up beside him. That's a law enforcement vehicle. Boxes him in on that side. A silver SUV tries to box him in on the other side. A collision happens, and that's when this guy takes off at a high rate of speed southbound along Rural Road. This is a replay. As this guy flies southbound along Rural Road through the ASU area. And you can see he crosses right through a few red lights. There's pedestrians along the edges of the roadway. He easily could have hit multiple pedestrians and cars. And at this point, with the speed that he was traveling at, blowing through intersections, it was just a matter of time before something catastrophic happened. And you'll see shortly that's exactly what happened here. At this point, traveling high rate of speed and slams just right into the front, kind of the front quarter of that black SUV. There was a woman, a single occupant driver, a woman in that black SUV that was injured, had head injuries. When she was pulled out of that vehicle, it appeared that she was moving around a little bit, so hopefully she's going to be okay. Copy, about 3 minutes away. And that's the suspect that hops out. Copy. That's a suspect hopping out of the SUV right there, running around, waving around. If anybody on the stream happens to know any of those bystanders down there, I'd love to know what he was saying. Not that I particularly care what this guy, what his reasoning was, but I'm just interested to see what was he trying to play the victim here or whatever. You can see DPS pulls up, goes to secure the vehicle and him. He wasn't fooling anybody. They knew who they were looking for. They knew it was a white male wearing a black shirt. He points at the vehicle. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great, yeah. And it's kind of behind a sign right here, so if we scooch just a little bit. Is 15 still out? Okay. Okay. So we're setting up for a live hit on the 12 o'clock news. We should have a little bit more information. And again, this is a replay of video. I'm going to re-rack this and rewind as I show. I'm going to come back to a live shot. There's a live look at the, well, we'll come back over to the suspect vehicle for now. Copy? I think so, yeah. And I've got 2 minutes. Let's line it up a little. That's right, yeah, as I come back to a little bit of that video that we were looking at earlier, just amazing to watch this from the helicopter and kind of feeling sort of helpless to do much about it. You knew when they tried to box him in, and again, this is just a replay of the video from the helicopter here, as he took off at a high rate of speed there southbound along Roll Road, we knew that this was not going to end well. He had no regard for any of the pedestrians or other vehicles along the roadway. You can see him blowing through red lights left and right. And as I fast forward just a little bit toward the end here, he just flies through Apache Boulevard. Again, this is Rural Road. It's still closed right now as a result of this, the conclusion of this pursuit. And you can see as he blows through another intersection with heavy traffic, and coming right up here, he just slams head on into that other vehicle. Now, that was awful, and you heard my reaction at the top of the newscast there. Just a devastating crash there. We hope that the woman that was in that SUV is okay. It looks like she was taken off to the hospital with a head injury, and the suspect, kind of infuriatingly, just hops right out of the vehicle there. Yeah, and we're not sure exactly what he was saying to those bystanders, if he was trying to play the victim or something, but it looks like as in a moment you'll see DPS shows up. He kind of points at the vehicle like he's sort of trying to deflect the attention off of himself. Important to note, though, DPS, they knew who this guy was. They had a description of him. They'd been following him for several miles all the way through Phoenix, from the State Route 85 all the way through Phoenix and Tempe, so he wasn't going to get away. Yeah, so we were estimating probably at least 60 miles an hour on those surface streets, and that's pretty fast when you consider how much traffic. You can see all the traffic, pedestrians just right there. He could have hit any of those pedestrians, any of those vehicles, and of course he ended up slamming right into one of them. Nothing further other than we saw when she was, let me fast forward through, doesn't look like my video player's going to cooperate, but as she was pulled out of that vehicle, we did see her moving her arms around, so hopefully that's a good sign. Her head was bandaged up pretty well, though, so hopefully she's going to be okay. We've got reporters on the ground looking to get some more answers about that and why this guy was running. And for those that are following online, we're going to head back to the hangar. We've got to get some fuel again. Thank you for following our stream. We join with you in hoping the best for that innocent person who was injured. Hopefully she's going to be okay. And for the latest on this and other stories, just keep it tuned to AAZ Family.